The first point to make about costs in the oil and gas industry is that they're cyclical and correlated with oil prices. That won't surprise anyone in itself, but the extent to which it happens still tends to be underestimated in the market. To illustrate that point, in the period 2009 to 2011, when prices were relatively low, our research shows that operating costs for the supermajors stayed almost entirely flat. By contrast, in the 3 years that followed, when oil prices rose to $100 and more, those same operating costs rose by 52% in just 3 years. When prices collapsed in 2014, those costs obviously stayed in place, putting pressure on margins and cash flows. The challenge now in improving those cash flows is to do so in the right ways, and the easiest ways are not always best. For example, headcount reduction, deferral of capital expenditure are often measures that are taken at the start of a downturn, and they do free up cash in the short term, but they can also substantially damage a company in the long run. Bain's approach to cost transformation has 3 steps. Firstly, companies must develop a clear top-down view on their achievable and appropriate cost structure. And to do so, it's often instructive to look at that own company's track record to see what cost levels were achievable in more disciplined times. Benchmarks can also be used, but we do advise some caution in that area as other companies go through the same cycle, and so may not be the best examples to look at. Secondly, using that top-down perspective, companies should identify areas where the biggest gaps are and then design initiatives to address those gaps. Resources should be reallocated to those initiatives, and often some ongoing activities should be discontinued to make sure they get the right priority. Third, and finally, companies should put in place tools, trainings, and incentives to empower all employees in the company to look for savings in their own part of the business, and to generally inspire a culture of cost consciousness. In our experience, it's these grassroots initiatives that deliver up to half of the benefits of a cost reduction program. And in the end, it's that mindset that keeps a company from sliding back when the next boom time hits.